When love calls, Nevada answers after the first ring. The problem with that is, most calls become filled with empty promises or lack of effort. After another disappointing stint with dating, Nevada swears men off. That is, until an unusual encounter seizes her attention. She wants to pull back and stick to her no men zone, but this particular guy is too intriguing to turn away from. Nevada finds herself stuck between a situation that not only involves her, but her family as well. With her back against the wall, she's faced with a decision that could possibly ruin the greatest love of all. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and we are here to discuss My Little Love by Charae Lewis. And what this is a standalone novel. It is currently what's today? The 24th. It is currently number one in new releases in contemporary urban fiction. So shout out to Charae Lewis. Love that for you, girl. Let's jump right into the story. So we are introduced to Navada, who is just a young lady who is a helpless romantic. She's constantly searching and looking for love, looking for a relationship. And, she goes out on the town with her cousins, Tiffany and Diamond. Diamond is a stud, which they make sure to reiterate by talking about how she looks like a man and how, she's chasing after all these different women. So I was like, yeah, sounds like a stud. Sounds correct to me. Not that they look like a man. I'm not agreeing to that, but, the way they dress, how they have their hair, how they're constantly like with multiple women. That is the stereotype of a stud, though. And a few studs I know, right on brand. So anyway, that's her life, and she's also a esthetician. So she does waxes. Um, she gets facials. Like she does all of that. And she works with her name is Slim. Like Slim does hair. Um, but they work together out of the same building. She's actually renting from Slim to run her business where it's located. And so one day she comes into work and she tells Slim, like, your side of the building, like something burning over there. Like, what you got going on? So Slim runs out and tells her, hold on here, talk to my cousin. And she's like, girl, what? So when she picks up the phone and has this conversation with Slim's cousin, who is actually in jail. And when she first finds this out, they have like a nice little conversation back and forth, but she's harping on the fact, which, of course, it's like, you in jail, what for? But he don't want to talk about it. He tell her, my last name such and such. Look me up, and you can find out what you want to find out about me. And she's like, no, she'd rather hear from him. So it's just like, but he don't tell her. So she basically called a nigga a bum. Like, nigga, you a bum in jail. Like, I don't want you. And so he like, damn, word, all right, nice talking to you, whatever. So the next day she comes into work. There's a nice little name brand bag waiting on her. And she asked Slim, because at first, after she had the first conversation, she was like, what's your cousin in jail for? But Slim didn't want to tell her. She's like, that's not my business. I'll let him tell you that. But why you asking about him anyway? You like him? And she was like, nah, you asked me to talk to him, I talked to him, and that was it. And so when she came back to work, she was like, that must have been some conversation y'all had for him to pull this off and have me deliver this to you. And she was like, no, it was just a conversation we do. So he also lied to his cousin and was like, she told me to tell you to give me her number so I can call her later. Cause when she got that call from the jail, like, who could possibly be calling me? And she heard him just like, so you stole my number. He was like, yeah, so don't be mad at her because basically, like, I put her on. And so she was like, okay, whatever. So they continue to talk, and he keeps telling her, like, I'm getting out soon. And she's like, what's soon? But he never like discloses when. And he like, I'm gonna pop up to your shop. You better not be on no bullshit, whatever, whatever. She's like, man, whatever. I don't know what soon is. You ain't saying what soon is, so you not to be believed. Until I want to say like a couple days later, a man shows up to her appointment, as her appointment, like, yeah, I'm your 1 o'clock or something like that. So they go through the whole appointment, whatever. And at the end, he looking at, he like, you did I? She's like, damn, like, okay, nigga, I guess, whatever, your total, whatever. And he like, you really don't recognize my voice? And it's the cousin that's been in jail. What's his name? Akil? I believe it's Akil. So they start flirting, and he invites her out to like a few events, like, I'm gonna be there, so you better be there. And she likes to go out and party anyway, so pretty much everything that moves and jumps, she's there. But she shows up, and the first party was his welcome home party. As soon as she got there, they left. Because he not the type to be around a lot of people in the crowd, that mess with his anxiety. So as soon as he saw her, he like, I need to get out of here. You rolling? She said, yeah, sure. So, they leave. And then I forgot, it was somewhere else. I think it was at his is Morris his brother? Yeah, Morris is his brother. At his brother's club, they left together, and then also at a bowling alley. So they was getting real close, and her family was treating it like it was any old relationship. Like, girl, any man that say hi to you, you basically in love with, so whatever. What's new about this one? Whatever, whatever. And so as they're moving on, he invites her to his family, his mom's like birthday party. And this is a big deal for her because she's like, I'm meeting your parents, but he doesn't have a close relationship like with his family anyway, so he don't see it as the big deal as she sees it as. And so that kind of like dampens her spirit, because it's just like, oh my god, you want me to meet your parents? And he's like, I mean, whatever. And his whole thing was excuse me, the reason why he went to jail, he was set up. And so there were some things found on him, and he went to jail for 3 years. But there were some cops who were found dirty, so they also took on his charge, saying they planted the, I believe it was guns, planted the guns in the car, so he wasn't really guilty of that. Now, his dad is like the leader or part of, they call it the familia, so aka the mob or whatever you want to call it. And he could have prevented Akil from going to jail. He just didn't want to. He felt like Akil needed to learn a lesson. And so, although it could have been prevented, he sent him to jail anyway. So when Akil finds that out, the already strained relationship they had is even more like strained, because the daddy throws it up in his face like, I could have stopped it, but you didn't listen to me, so you had to face the consequences. And Akil has always felt like his father didn't like him anyway. It's like he was extra hard on him. And because Akil wanted to be his own person, the daddy like really had no use for him. He treats, and not even treats them better. Because when they have a big blowout about this, because what is that man's name? Milano. So you have Milano Senior and then Milano Junior. I believe it's Akil, and then it's Amos, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how it goes as far as the kids go. But MJ says, man, we got the same type of lifestyle you got. Just because you got anxiety don't make you no different. But it's like, because of what we went through is the reason for my anxiety. It's not like I'm trying to distance myself like he was so much harder. But the relationship definitely was different, because they bent it to his will where Akil did not. Akil is like, I'm my own man. I'm grown. I don't have to do what you want me to do simply because you want me to do it. And so Akil, he used to run the chop house. So, when people need cars, gone, they would go to him. But that's exactly what got him caught up. So when he got out of jail, he's like, I'm not doing that no more. He opened a dispensary. And so his dad was talking shit like, you think that little money that you getting from that is gonna get you anywhere, and that ain't even gonna make you a lot of money. Because if I feel like shutting that down, I will, because I got all this power, whoop de whoop. And Akila's like, it is what it is, whatever. I don't too much care about it. And but come to find out, because Akil has made his own alliances through the years. He found out that his daddy is in trouble with the familiar. Like, he making outside deals, and that was the thing that really got Akil caught up too. I forgot about that. He was doing business with people that his daddy told him he shouldn't be doing business with, so that's how he got caught up too. And so because he didn't listen, that's why he sent him to jail. But excuse me. So who was it? Somebody told him like, your dad making outside deals, and familiar really ain't feeling him like that. He real close to losing his position. And then somebody actually in the familiar, I'm jumping ahead, but I'll get back to it. They have a meeting with him and tell him, we're offering you a position higher than your father. Like, you would actually be your father's boss now if you decide to take this position. And you get to decide if he stays in or if he stays out. And so let's go back, because I'll leave that right there, then I'll come back to it. And so in the midst of dealing with that, when he brings Navada to his mom's birthday party, everything was going great. She was getting to know everybody and having conversations and whatever, until they got to Navada's last name, which it hasn't come up at this point. It hasn't really been a big deal. But her last name is Avant. And when when she runs down like who she's related to, because when the grandfather hears her last name, he's like, who are you related to? Like, who you kin to? So she runs down to her whole little family history, and what was it, Milano Senior? He's like, get her the fuck out of here right now. Get that bitch the fuck out of here. And Akila's like, hold on, what is the problem here? So come to find out, they real Romeo and Juliet, Akil and Navada are, because they families don't mess with each other. Apparently, Akil's uncle is in jail for life for murder. And when Navada goes to talk to her family, because she has one aunt that is always walking around as if there's a chip on her shoulder, and kind of find out her boyfriend, husband, whatever Tiffany and Diamond's daddy was to her, they were they in the car together? Anyway, he was in a car, and the uncle that's in jail for life rode up on him and basically like shot him 20 times in the car, and that left her without a man and her kids without a daddy. So since then, and when the uncle was arrested, they testified against him. So basically, the Cash family, I forgot that's Akil's last name, Cash. So the Cash family think they snitches, and the Avant family called them murderers. And basically, they had a little war going on like after that, where Nevada's family called their family up from Chicago, because the Cash family was following the Avant family around town, like basically trying to bully them out of town. And when they wouldn't do it, it started a war. But ain't nobody said nothing about this up until they found out Nevada's last name. So it's like, y'all didn't even keep up to date with the children that they had. Y'all didn't talk to each other. Y'all didn't know nothing about each other. So how is it all of a sudden this beef pops back up? Because ain't nobody said nothing. And Akil, like, he put Nevada in the car, like, stay in the car and, just wait for me to come back out. And he goes back inside and he's like, Don't you ever disrespect her like that again. And y'all trying to make us choose for some shit that really ain't got nothing to do with us. So, basically, I'm not giving her up. And so his dad pulls out a gun on him and says, choose. It's either us, your family, or that bitch. And he already, like, they relationship already strained. He really ain't feeling the whole family anyway. So it's like, this was a no brainer for him. And he walked out. And so when Navada goes to talk to her family, because after this night, like, they left together, but it was strained for the next couple days because he didn't want to talk about what happened. Because when he came, oh shit, how I forget this? So at that no, not this dinner, because this was her birthday dinner, but his first like welcome home dinner, he has to find out that his cousin is now sleeping with slash dating the girlfriend he had before he went into jail. But she had told him that she, like, I'm not no ride or die. So if you go to jail, I'm not staying around for that. And he understood that. So that wasn't the problem. But to come to find out that his cousin is not sleeping with his ex. And it's like we were super close. And then when I go to jail, you start pulling away from me too. So it's like y'all on some snake shit. Um so he was already strained from the family anyway. So but also having to cut them off, he just was going through some things the next couple of days. So she goes to talk to her family. And this is when they tell their side of the story of how they shot him so many times and how they had to call the family up from Chicago, like all of what I said before. This is when they bring it up now. And they also tell her, like, you have to choose. It's either him or us. And she didn't want to choose, but she tells them that she basically chooses her family and that she's going to break up with him. But when she goes to see him that night, he professes his love for her. Like, I love you, um, I'm not going to allow this to come between us. I got your back, whatever you need, whoop, 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 whoop. And she agrees, and he's like, come on, let's go on a vacation. So they go to Tulum for like the weekend, and it's beautiful. They just living their life. And she makes a decision like, why should I have to come up off my man for something that ain't got nothing to do with me? So even though she told her family that she would, she decided that she wasn't. But when they come back from the trip and she go to her house, her cousins, they pop up and she's like, first, like, what is y'all doing here? And they're upset because it's like, Akil posted you all on his story, so we see that y'all not broken up how you claim that y'all was. And Akil had dropped her off, but she left her charger in the car, so he spun around and came back to give it to her. And when he shows up at the door, they're all yelling at each other, arguing, and it's like, what's going on here? And so the cousins run down the story like, yeah, you the enemy, you ain't even supposed to be here. She was supposed to break up with you, whoop de whoop, whatever. And he's like, oh, for real? And she's like, I was supposed to, but I didn't. And he's like, well, I'll make this easy for you because I can see that you're struggling with having to choose between your family and me, and I'm not gonna put that stress on you, so I'll leave you alone so you can make up with your family. And she really didn't want that, but he basically pushed it, and she conceded because she didn't want to be with her family, and she didn't want to fight with her cousins because them like her best friends. They like literally go out together all the time. They're always together. And so for like the next couple months, neither one of them is talking to their family or, like going out. So they're just miserable until Akil like pops up to her house and is like, man, I'm tired of this shit. We gonna talk about it. But she didn't answer the door. She saw it was him, but she's like, nah, he broke up with me. He broke my heart. So I'm not doing this with him. And then one night, who did she go out with? I think she went out by herself, but she saw she saw Tiffany there, so they like kind of made up. And his no. Akil's little brother. What is his name? I want to say Amos. It's A something. I think I'm saying it wrong, but he called her party girl because he's like, you do all this party, and my brother don't even like to be out like that. But he sees her, he like, what's up, party girl? And so I think she was shown online. Anyway, like she went out and he saw her like popping her something, but he shows up and this is where they start their relationship again. And he's like, I thought I was doing the right thing, but I really don't want to be without you. So we gonna make this work all over again. And at first she wasn't with it. And he was wondering why, like, why is she pulling back? And she was hurt from him leaving before, but then also come to find out, uh, 2 months into the 4 months they hadn't seen each other, she had a miscarriage because she had a bracelet on mentioning something about heaven, and he thought it was pertaining to her cousin that she had lost as a child, and she's like, no, it's actually from the baby that didn't make it. And she tells him the story of how she was laying in bed with stomach pains, and it got to the point where she drove herself to the hospital. And when she got to the hospital, she saw that she was bleeding between her legs, and as she was struggling to get out of the car, a nurse who was coming off like a smoke break saw her and helped her in, and that's when she discovered that she was having a miscarriage. Don't you just love children? How they come in and mess up your whole vibe. So I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I recorded the 24th. Today is the 28th, and I'm just not being able to jump back into this episode. But like I said, I'm keeping it real with y'all, so we're gonna press on forward. So where we left off at, right, was the miscarriage. So after she tells him the story about the miscarriage, he done pulled her into a hug and it's like, oh, I should have been there for you. But the fact that I wasn't, like, ain't no more breaking up. We in this shit. We doing this, like it's us versus the world. So he then goes to sit down with his daddy, his father, and try to have one more civilized conversation. Like, okay, they offer me, like, basically telling his dad what it is. Like, they offer me this, and I have the say so, like, to basically let you keep your job. But with him doing that, he has to absorb his dad's debt. But he had no problem with it. He's like, okay, I'll do that. And he tells his dad, but the only condition is that you have to apologize to Navada. And of course, his dad is like, his dad is so full of himself. Every time he was, I was gonna say on screen guy, like I had to read about it, I was just like, sir, please go to hell, die. And so he's like, I ain't doing that shit. And he's like, okay, well, basically, sorry to you. And that was it. And so the dad like lost his position, won't nobody really rocking with him. And he basically ran off of fear. And he blames his son. I'm like, how? First of all, sir, you are a grown ass man. How are you as a father blaming your son for anything? And he's like, it's his fault. He could have did that. It's like, no, you as this older person could apologize to this young girl, young woman, I should say, because you judging her on some shit y'all didn't even remember. The fact that you didn't even know that woman had a niece and that, she's at this age and done fell in love with your son. So y'all really wasn't beefing over nothing. Because if you really felt that strongly about it, first of all, you would have got it back in blood. But y'all ain't did nothing. Y'all have been separate and chilling and living y'all lives all these years later. And because I'm like, after the family would have went back to Chicago if they was that deep, because them niggas didn't stay there forever over no beef. And I'm trying to understand, y'all the quote unquote cash family, you pulling guns out on your son. It would have been nothing for you to get that auntie killed. And she wouldn't have made it to that fucking courthouse. So what are we really talking about here? Nothing. Exactly. So excuse me. You know, him in Nevada, Akil in Nevada. You know, they're working towards their relationship, and one day Akil, like, he just staring at her. She's like, "Why you looking at me? What you thinking about?" And this man says, "I'm thinking about marrying you." And she just like, "Oh, when?" So he says, "Right now," thinking she gonna be like, "No, I need more time than that." My girl says, "Okay," and he's like, "For real?" She's like, "I'm dead serious." "Okay, you want to get married? Let's do it." He's like, "Right now." She's like, "Right now." He's like, "Man, stop playing." She's like, "I wouldn't play with you like that. Like, you asked me to marry you right now. I will marry you right." Sorry. So it's just this back and forth thing until he's like, "So if I make this phone call, that's it. Like, ain't no backing out, ain't no nothing like that." She's like, "No," basically just said that, like, "Nigga, okay, I said what I said. I said I would marry you, and that's what I'm gonna do." So he hops up. I think he called his brother. Like, "Oh yeah, like, meet me down at the courthouse. I'm about to get married." And so his brother, like, "Man, you gotta be fucking kidding." But yeah, so at the courthouse, who showed up? Like, basically the whole family showed up for everybody except for the daddy, because you know he's still pissed or whatever. But I think his mom said, like, you know, ain't no way this was gonna happen and I wasn't gonna be here. Because although his mom is very weak, that's enough. Can we talk about that? Of course we can, because I'm here to talk about it. But it's the fact he had the conversation with his mom, because she always just said, "I just want my family together." Like, I feel like he had just came home from jail. She was trying to have a weekly family dinners or whatever. And she just kept saying, "My family is finally together again. I just want my family, whatever, whatever." And then he called her out on it too, because it's like, she always tried to pacify the kids, like, "Come on, just do this. You know how your father is." And it's like, no. And that's why they didn't get along, because Akil always fought him at that. Like, he don't get to get his way all the time. Nobody does. So the fact that this grown ass man is throwing a tantrum and you just want everybody to cooperate to make him happy, no. And he like fell off from his mom. So the fact that she showed up to the wedding, like, there's no way I was gonna miss this. I'm like, you know what, lady, I'll let you have it. Because while I understand you just want your family together, the person that you married to is a big part of the reason why your family turned out the way it is. And you just trying to force everybody to put their heads down and deal with it is a big problem. But you had one person that wasn't going for it. And so I believe everybody showed up, like, even Nevada's granny, like, everybody showed up to see her get married, and everything was cool. Like, they got through the wedding, and then as soon as that was over, here come the family, like, bringing up that old shit again, like, "Well, it was really y'all fault, but no, if you hadn't did this." And I think it was Akil had to tell them, like, "Y'all really doing this right now, like, today of all days?" And so they left them. They're like, "Man, we not." First of all, that shit is like, "Oh, that's back in the day. That's their problem. That ain't got nothing to do with us, and that ain't gonna never be a part of our relationship again." Because he was like, "I shouldn't have left you the first time, but I won't make that same mistake again. So this right here, we not doing that." So if they gonna argue, let them argue, and we gonna be married and go mind our business. Like, okay, boom, boom. And so, what? It's like a year after they're married, he bought her a build, because, oh shit, I forgot about that. Did I? And I listened, and I cannot remember what I said. You know how you drown your own voice? I was like, "Girl, that is enough of you." Um, I cannot remember if I talked about it. But she fought she fought Nevada fought Slim because when they found out what the situation was between the families, and remember Nevada was renting from Slim, and Slim basically like changed the lock on the door and told her like I can't rent to you no more, and basically you know why. So Nevada had told her like um how am I supposed to get my stuff out of there? Basically like open the door so I can get my stuff. And Slim gonna tell her, nah, I'll have it sent to you. So Nevada started taking her stuff, like her hair care stuff. She like, well, basically, bitch, an eye for an eye. So until you give me my shit, I'm taking your shit. And it resulted in a fight, and it resulted in Nevada basically whooping Slim's ass. And she went and found another place to rent from, and I believe something happened with that building, and she had to leave out of that building. So basically, Akil bought her own building, and it's like you ain't renting from nobody either. So that's another thing you ain't got to worry about. This is yo shit. But Akil had told Slim, because when they had broken up, he had went by the business hoping to get a look of her, to see her, and she wasn't there. So he had asked Slim like, "How's she doing?" And Slim like, "Who?" He like, "Man, you know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. Like, how my baby doing?" And she like, basically when she runs the story down to him, he like, "You did what? Girl, what?" He like, "Girl," and he ain't doing all that, but he really told like, "You dumb as fuck." And he knew why she did it. She was doing it because of the uncle. Like the uncle offered to pay her if she did, and then Akil looking at her like, "See, that man gonna run y'all straight into the motherfucking ground." So that was another thing. And I think what else was it? I think that was it. They got married, he bought her the building. Oh, they had another baby. Um and I'm happy that they were able to have a baby, because that was the one thing. When he asked her to marry him the year before, she says, "What if I can't give you any more children?" Or what if I can't give you children? And basically, of course, he's like, "No, that's not in the plan for us. We're gonna have a baby. That just wasn't the right time then. But and even if you can't, that's okay, because I love you." But they end up having a baby girl. And while I was happy for them, I did not like the reason why. Well, not them. I should more so say Akil, because it feels like he just wanted to like replace that baby. And it's like that baby is still that baby. Even though they were only 2 months old, that was still a baby. So you have to mourn the loss and keep them forever in your thoughts. But you just not replacing that baby, like basically forget about that one, here's another one. And even though that baby doesn't know it, but basically it's like telling this baby, you are forever in the shadow of this one, because you are only here because we feel bad about losing that one. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I wasn't really feeling that. But they're great parents, doing great business, and everything's just peachy. And I loved it. I really enjoyed this book. So please go pick up My Little Love by Charae Lewis. As always, I will have the Amazon link in the description box. So click on that and go read it for yourselves. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.